Hello guys and welcome to the STPL. My name is Kix. I will be the one guiding you through today in this solo cast. Rapid is getting some well needed rest after his 2 days of really long BSL casting, so you're going to have to deal with just me today. Hopefully the series will be worth it and hopefully my voice will hold out. As I just quickly take a swig of some drink there. I just finished my dinner. I was absolutely starving, so when that finally came, it was very, very good. I should have got something on the way home, but I got soaked. I was walking back from the train station because the bus was super late, and I was like, well, I can probably walk faster. And I was literally dripping wet by the time I got home. It was not fun. There was a lot of rain today, but I've just got back from a really cool weekend away. So it's all good now. It's kind of weirdly quiet when I'm casting solo because I've got no noise in the background or anything. So hopefully you guys in chat will keep me company for dinner. I had some chicken Kievs and some oven chips because it was the quickest thing I could do. And it was definitely the easiest thing to eat as well in a really, really quick time frame. So I kind of had to rush to get everything ready here, but now we are finally here. We can get going. Let's have a quick look at the team rankings for this season so far. We are at the start of week 2, so there's obviously a lot of work to be done for these teams. But you can already see the divide between the sets of teams here, top half and bottom half of the table. Just to let you guys know as well, one thing that will of course be the case this season is there is one group. It's round robin for everybody, so essentially what we'll see is we will see all teams play each other. Thank you, Jesse, for the host. You guys have just joined in perfect time. But top of the table is essentially pretty awesome. We've got like 7 of the best teams even from season 1. There's a few upsets from week 1, like iRk losing, Valhalla losing, and EF losing as well, because EF are a very strong team. But the good thing is there is 13 more weeks for these teams to prove themselves, and we're going to have some really fun matchups throughout those 13 weeks, so it should be a lot of fun keeping track of this scoreboard and of essentially what's going to be happening with everyone. Now let's have a quick look at the yellow table. I don't believe there's actually been any changes here, but of course it is always useful to check who is in the top 10. I believe DeWalt may have actually gone up a place. I need to kind of add the arrows here to figure out the places of where people are. But essentially, it's all relatively normal. Noob and Scan still up at the top. I think Noob actually extended his lead slightly after winning his previous game. Koga really close to top 2 now, so he's only a few points behind Scan. And 1 point behind him is Eon Zerg, so really, really close to the top of the table. Should be cool to follow this as well. Today, we are going to be looking at Storm versus iRk to start with. Storm historically didn't do as well in Season 1. They are a Bulgarian-only team, so their player pool is relatively limited. Although I say that, and they still have a massive roster regardless. The StarCraft 1 community in Bulgaria seems really big, as well as the StarCraft 2 community as well, of course. But iRk, 3rd place last season. You can see that by the bronze trophy underneath their name. They were one of the best teams by far last season as well. They did lose their first series against NetWars in a really nail-biting series. So they're going to be looking to try and get their first win of Season 2 today to see if they can put themselves a level back on the table. So let's have a look at who's going to be playing in this series. We're going to start with a ZVP between Mitak and DeWalt on Multiverse. Go for a ZVT between Jim and Marwin on Whiteout. Have a PvZ between Grast and Babbo on Neo Arkanoid. And a ZVP between Praise and Favorite on Carthage 3. And then, of course, if we do make it to it, the ace match is going to be there on Desperado. Now, just to have a quick look through our players as well. Mitak over here played a lot for pSi. He actually upped his he upped his win ratio a little bit recently, but unfortunately he did lose his last game, so he's only got a 35% win rate. It's not a bad thing though. He's always come across relatively strong opponents, as you can see over on the right hand side there. He is rank 129 in the STPL, so not exactly the highest, but should be cool to see him going. Obviously he is a Zerg player here, and he is going to be up against one of the best foreigners in the world, and by foreigners I mean non-Koreans if you're just tuning in. It is the Russian Protoss DeWalt. Absolute boss. I'm not going to spoil BSL yesterday, but he had some great games there. Worth watching them if you are a DeWalt fan, and maybe if you're not as well, just because obviously he played against Terra and Eon Zerg too. So that was a crazy group. Definitely the group of death, but DeWalt overall 6 in the STPL rankings, has an 8-for-2 win ratio against Zerg. So this should statistically be a very one-sided matchup, but of course it's the STPL and anything can happen as we head into our debut game on Multiverse. A map that changes considerably wherever you spawn. Obviously you do have those close by air positions, similar to something like Python and Lost Temple back in the day. But also you can block off the middle of the map by killing the assimilators. Unlike Troy though, where the assimilators will literally block off the entire map, you can break down the temples in the middle to still push forward. But it could be a mistake to do that. So let's get into game number 1. It's Mitak versus DeWalt here on Multiverse. Okay, starting us off here in the bottom left-hand position, we do have the blue Zerg even fighting for pSi. It's Mitak. And his opponent spawning down here in the bottom middle. We do have the red Protoss fighting for iRk. It's DeWalt. What happened to the BSL Discord? Okay, well, whatever happened there is none of my concern right now, because we're about to head into hopefully a really cool series. Now I know statistically at least, this may be one of the more one-sided matchups for pSi, at least if we were to take Season 1 statistics into account here. But pSi are looking a little bit stronger this series. They did struggle a little bit against Nice, but they did win in the end, so it showed how strong they were. The games, I know I struggled a bit to cast them. I was actually a little bit exhausted that day, so if you are on pSi and you're a little bit disappointed with that cast, I do apologize. I was dealing with a lot that day, and I was also heading out on holiday the next day, so I'm a little bit more rested up. Had a nice break over the end. How do you purchase shares in STPL? Well, you definitely don't PayPal Avi $100, but if you do want to help out, there is the STPL Patreon. That is definitely the best way to support the tournament overall. But you can also add to the prize pool by using the Matrino link that was just spammed. So another important thing to note. Oh, DeWalt actually going for the block on the drone. The drone's not going to be able to go out and expand now. And a drone does beat a probe if I remember correctly, but I mean DeWalt's probe micro is pretty good, so he'll be able to keep this alive. The other benefit of this pylon is it actually does block lings, so we do see that 9 pull came up here. Well, maybe not 9 pull, I wasn't paying too much attention. But we do have a Zealot over here at least to kind of help with that. But the pylon actually finishes. Now, is he going to... No, okay. For a second I thought he was going for a forging and a cannon rush in the main, but it doesn't look like he's going to be doing that. Would be a little bit difficult with these lings popping out. But he is going for a very quick one-base Cybercore. Now DeWalt has been known to do one-base Reaver before, not as much as someone like Bonneth has, but in these positions it's actually going to be quite powerful, I would say. Yeah, just huge shout outs as well to both Liquipedia for sponsoring us with the $500 prize pool startup. So essentially we are the Liquipedia STPL for this season. And of course a huge thank you to Maturino who have donated 200 codes, 50-cent codes. If you go to the Maturino link and hit in LSTPL, you can donate 50 cents to the prize pool completely free. And a huge thank you to Des, I think it was, as well, for the $50 donation. So things are getting heated up here already in the STPL Season 2, at least in terms of prize pool. The prize pool for Season 1 was $1,500, which I'm fairly certain is the biggest outside of Korea for a team league ever. So pretty awesome job, thank you to everyone. But here we go, this one base Protoss looking a bit weird here, but gonna use this pylon to help defend against the Lings but not fully block himself in. But those Dragoons are definitely not going to be able to get out of that gap here. So the probe helping out, gonna block the Lings from being able to get in. There is a robo done, shuttle is on the way. There's no robo support bay just yet though, so we'll have to see if that's going to be the plan. A shield battery actually coming up at the front. DeWalt thinking there's going to be a lot more aggression coming his way due to the delayed expansion. But there is a lair coming up. Muteless could be pretty good in this spawn as well. And if he gets Scourge really early, here comes the support bay. He can actually deal with the Reaver really, really easily. So okay, let's see exactly what's going to go on here. I mean, this is a good number of Lings. They're not going to be able to break through. But if we see a drop go into the main, what is Mitak actually going to be able to do about it? Could we be getting 6-minute cursed here? Looks like he may be waiting for a Reaver though, so he's not going to go for a Zealot drop. Hydralisk Den is done. No Spire on the way just yet. A little bit puzzled by the early lair, but it's actually going to be for drop, so there's going to be Overlord drop against this build. But the trouble is DeWalt is already going on the offensive, actually dropping two Zealots to begin with, and this is going to force not only a reaction of unit movement but also a reaction of drone pulling, which is going to hurt the economy of Mitak even more. And there's absolutely no way Mitak can actually get in and do any damage. But a good drone pull by Mitak, going to save his drones for now. More and more units being picked up. Actually not even going to... oh, he is going to pick up the Reaver. So there's going to be a Reaver in this base soon, and the only units there to actually contest it is going to be some Lings. But look at this positioning on these Zealots, making the Zealots so unbelievably cost effective. And this is just part one. The Reaver's going to drop in here. And what the heck is Mitak going to be able to do about this? The drones are coming back, but they're going to have to be pulled again. Oh, getting one drone with his Reaver, not too bad as a start. But it's literally Lings against a Reaver. I don't know how on earth he plans on winning this, but here we go. The Scarab going to come down. Can he glitch out the Scarab? No. A good number of Lings actually going down. Attacking. Oh my goodness, that was a good Scarab once again. And looks like the final drone from the Natural going to be heading back into the main. Only 9 drones. 6 minutes into the game. Oh, the Hydra's trying to get the shuttle. Not going to be able to do it. The Reaver very low. But good control by DeWalt once again. Going to keep that alive, I think. DeWalt may have actually just done 2. Oh, an amazing Scarab once again. 5 drones left for Mitak. Oh, there's actually Lings in the base, but there is a Reaver here. I don't think they're going to be able to do too much. But can he make a miracle happen? No, great usage of the shield battery. GG. Mitak taps out. We narrowly avoid the 6-minute curse. And we end game 1 with DeWalt taking iRk up 1-0. Okay, so I think that was fairly expected. I mean, Mitak did an okay job, but unfortunately his hatchery got delayed for so long, and he couldn't just go and expand somewhere else like you would do if he'd have blocked with the pylon at the Natural. So a little bit unfortunate there for Mitak, but DeWalt once again proving why he's one of the best players outside of Korea. And we're going to be heading into game number 2, which is going to be Jim versus Marwin on Whiteout when we get back after this very short break. See you guys soon. Neo Arkanoid also makes its appearance in STPL Season 2, a map from 2006. It's from the OGN Star League from back then, one of the early OSLs, and it's a semi-island map. I think one of the first of its kind that got major use after about the year 2004. It's one of a kind. I don't think I've ever seen another map like it. There's temples and power generators absolutely everywhere, making it very difficult to get through the middle of the map. The air units, of course, going to be very important here. The one problem all three races are going to have is the very easy to take second and third bases. They both have gas, but they are blocked by those chrysalises, so it makes it important to build a few aggressive units early on in order to get that second and third gas as soon as you can. Important thing to note, if you do open up that center, the rush distance is very small. Okay guys, we are back. Well, I say we, it's just me today. We're going to be heading into game number 2. It's going to be Jim versus Marwin. Let's have a quick look at Jim. Jim being a newer player added to the pSi roster for Season 2. And so far, he's actually won both of his games, and he did win pSi, their first series in a relatively long time in the STPL. Abby, I'm very glad you like Lottie. I also love her a lot. She is my little best friend. She's amazing. But having a look at Marwin. Marwin, obviously the more well-known of the players here. Ukrainian Terran, fighting for iRk. He used to be on IFU with Eon Zerg. They were quite close teammates, but obviously both of them split up here. Eon going to Naz, or Marwin going to iRk. Marwin hasn't had the best luck, but when you look at all the players he's played against, you can see why. I mean, he beat Grast, he beat Mitak, he beat Noob. Well, he didn't beat Noob, sorry. And he's lost to Kogut twice. One thing I will say is the game he just played, Marwin versus Kogut on New Tornado was one of the best TVTs we've ever had in the STPL. And if you check out the buttons on the below the stream, there's a link to the STPL TV YouTube where you can find that game specifically highlighted, because it was so unbelievably good. So do check that out. We're going to be heading into our debut game here on Whiteout. Now, Whiteout, one of the more interesting 3-player maps that have come out over the last few years. Well, the last 10 years, I'd say. We do have the foresty areas where the units actually have very low vision, but they do, of course, have the ability to go through them. There's no movement blockers or anything. It's purely line of sight that gets blocked. The main's very easy to take a natural. Third base, a little bit harder to get out in the open, but when you get your third, it makes it a lot easier to get your fourth on this map. Of course, this is going to be a TVZ. Muteless are quite strong here. Drops and Bio are incredibly strong here, but not to forget, if the Zerg player can use the forest well for their lurkers, it's going to be quite difficult for Bio, so Mech could be a good choice. But let's get into the game. It's Jim versus Marwin here on Whiteout. Okay, starting us off here in the 6 o'clock position, we do have the White Zerg fighting for pSi. It's Jim. And his opponent spawning up here in the top right, we do have the Yellow Terran fighting for iRk. It's Marwin. Okay, so let's see exactly what the build orders are going to be here. I think Marwin will definitely be the kind of player who would like to take this to a longer game, just because, historically, at least statistically wise, he's a stronger player than Jim is. At least when you look at the overall stories. When you're playing against someone you're not quite sure who they are, Jim isn't really a massive name outside of the Bulgarian community. This is really I think some of the first time we get to see his play. I mean, he's shown to be a relatively strong player with his wins against Essen, and I can't remember the second player he played against previous weeks, but when you're thinking you're the better player, you're likely to want to take it longer because you have more opportunity to win. Obviously, if you go for something risky, you run into the risk of just losing in a really stupid way. Now, Marwin is going to be going for 1 racks on 11. No gas as of yet, but this is going to be the moment when we'll see if he does choose to go for a tech build. It looks like he is just going to be completely standard. He does obviously have the option of going for a second racks at 13, but I don't think we're going to see that out of Marwin here. Obviously, if it works, you just kill your opponent, but it's kind of like the more safer economical style that doesn't really play a part in today's meta. But looks like Marwin is going to see the Overlord, so he should send his SCV back. Looks like he's going to double check just to make sure. Now, the one annoying thing is we got custom colors, and I was thinking the one matchup we would never see again was white versus yellow, but unfortunately here we are. So I please do forgive me if I miss anything on the minimap. It's going to be quite difficult, but the hatchery obviously coming up. Add the natural gas coming up as well, so it's going to be a 2-hatch build here. Whether or not it'll be lurkers or muteless is still to be decided, but I would imagine it is just going to be 2-hatch Spire. This seems to be the kind of build that Jim would like to go for. Jim, at least from his previous game, seems very micro-orientated. Of course, we do have these lings running along. It isn't a massive all-in so far, but it is 8 lings. That's 4 additional drones. So he is going to need to do some damage here. But you can already see Marwin pulls his SCVs at the perfect time. Is going to be able to block these lings for now. And Marwin is going to be in a relatively good position. He's up in supply. And his Marines haven't really been touched. Looks like he is going to lose a Marine. Could he lose? Wow, good control by Jim. Actually picking off all of those Marines there. Just a single Marine lives. It didn't delay the command center though. But this, oh wow, the Ling actually sneaks into the main. Going to get completely full scale on everything that Marwin is going to be doing here. And this is a really, really important moment for Zerg. He didn't do that much damage, but he did delay the bio push that's eventually going to be coming out here from Marwin. Now the second base is up. Drones are starting to pop in big numbers here because he knows that he doesn't need to build a large swell of lings very quickly. He's seen there's only 1 barracks. He's seen the academy isn't done yet. This is actually going to be a +1 5 racks most likely. So he knows there's no pressure, at least for the next couple of minutes, until Marwin can rebuild his drone count. So Lairs coming up, completely uncontested, no sunken needed just yet, and Jim is looking to be in a relatively good spot right now. Okay, so let's see what Marwin's plan is. We're going to see the academy coming up over here. +1 is on the way. And now it's going to be a case of exactly how many barracks Marwin wants to go for. In this situation, 5 racks is the more common way to play these days, but you can go 4 racks or 3 racks into tech if you want to. 2 racks tech, you'd more likely go academy off the just the 2 barracks instead of going for engineering bay first. But Marwin's doing a good job keeping his SCV alive. Gonna scout that the Spire's on the way. Second gas is now finished for Jim. Now, he doesn't necessarily need to see this or confirm it, but he is going to want to see whether or not there's any sunkens there. And I clicked the wrong button there, so we didn't see. But he did notice there was no sunkens. Whether or not this means he's going to choose to push and try and hit before Mutalisks is yet to be decided. But you can see that the 4 barracks are on the way here for Marwin. Stim is actually a little bit delayed, I would say, given the fact he seems to have started these barracks first. But it's going to be okay for the time being. The Marines poke him forward, seeing if they can force a few sunkens. But Jim is completely unfazed. He knows with his additional lings that nothing's coming towards him, so he can skip the creep colonies for now, and that'll mean his mutalists will come out a little bit quicker. 6 mutas are on the way. That's going to be his first initial 6 mutas, and you can see Marwin is already getting ready with his turrets. Now the scan goes down for Marwyn to confirm how many Sunkens there are. He won't see the Muteless popping, I don't believe. The scan should run out before then. But he will know that Muteless are on the way. And he's going to have to play very defensively. The second Comsat coming on the way, he should really get another few turrets. There is going to be 2 turrets in the main. But with these 6 Muteless, he may be able to micro these down. Obviously, the Muteless is going to be very, very important. And he can't afford to lose them. But there's actually no real units in the main base to speak of. So looks like we are going to have Marwyn pushing forward. There is going to be a Ling that scouts this, as well as the secondary Ling as well. So let's see what Jim's plan is. Looks like he's going to try and come in from the side of the bio ball. No, he's actually going to fly straight into the main. There's nothing blocking the barracks. The Marines are getting camped as they come out the spawn here. And Marwyn could be in a big bit of trouble. He wasn't expecting Jim to just fly straight in. You can see another set of missile turrets trying to come up, but Jim's in an amazing position. You can see Marwyn is forced to pull back. There's already 3 Sunkens on the way. And Jim is doing so much damage to Marwyn right now. This is crazy. The extra turrets do finish, so the Muteless are going to be forced back. But he has severely set Marwyn back in his tracks now. And now, luckily enough for Marwyn, he does have the 5 racks. He is going to be going into his factory now. But he doesn't have that big bioforce that he otherwise could have. And it looks like the Muteless are going to fly back in. Wow, one of the Muteless getting incredibly unlucky there. But he is going to push in, delay the factory, get even more bio here. No, he's actually going to opt to avoid that. But he's actually flying into a load of... Oh, this is a big mistake. Losing 3 Muteless there. A massive deal. But Jim continuing to do damage. Just trying to pick off what he can. I think he should just try and focus down the turret. He's kind of got his Muteless a bit stuck, so he needs to make some form of decision. Otherwise, oh no, this is not the right decision. He's going to be flying over the Marines. He could delay the factory again, but it looks like he is missing his shots a little bit. Not losing as many Muteless there as I thought he maybe would do, but he's back down to 7 Muteless again. And there's no additional tech. Now the third base is up. Marwyn is going to be trying to look for it, but he doesn't see it just yet. He sees that there is, well, obviously there's a turret down here, but Marwyn's going to try and do some damage. His worker count was pretty hindered. His Marine count obviously did get cut down a bit, and he did lose a lot of, a lot of momentum in this game by losing so much bio, but Jim is still in the phase of the game where he is incredibly vulnerable. We don't see any lurkers. We don't see a hive. We do have +1 attack though. So that's kind of crazy. Usually you would see Carapace first, but when you're up against bio like this, +1 attack is actually really good. It does affect, if I remember correctly, all of the glaives independently, or all the bounces even. But the trouble is he needs to be careful. He has shaved a lot of the Muteless off, has Marwyn. And Jim needs to be 100% invested in these Muteless. He's got the upgrade, he has the micro, but he needs to make sure he doesn't lose them to these Marines. If he loses the Muteless, it's pretty much game over. But as long as he can continue to eat away at this Bioforce, he is putting Marwyn in an incredibly difficult situation. And now good use of this high ground here, going to make it a little bit harder for Marwyn to engage this. Now it looks like the Muteless want to try and fly in and do some damage. Look how quickly they kill turrets with this +1 attack, by the way, guys. They killed them in 2 swoops right now. And that is very dangerous for the Terran player, because you need to pull your units back again. You can see they're funneling into Jim. And the control from Jim isn't impeccable, but given the units he has, and Marwyn's control as well, he's doing an amazing job. I mean, he is losing Muteless here and there, but look how small Marwyn's army is for this stage in the game. He's been on 5 racks since the very beginning, and there's actually 2 sets of Muteless over here now, so with more than one... Wait, is that a full control group of Muteless now? Yeah, so he's on a full control group of Muteless. He's going to continue to micro down, keep Marwyn in his base, which is the important thing. And now he really should kind of cycle out some of the damage Muteless. There's a perfectly healthy one here. Is there going to be a hive? No, still no hive. He's going mass Muta still. and just seeing if he can break his way through. Now, looks like we did have the Mutas fly into the main. Did just miss that thanks to the minimap color, but flying in, getting even more damage done. Obviously, Jim is kind of in an awkward situation. He kind of needs to win the game with his Mutalisks because he still does not have a hive and he doesn't have a Queen's Nest. So if he can't win or at least do considerable damage that makes Marwyn leave, he is going to have a lot of trouble as this as the vessel count grows and things like that. But looks up, I think we've got two starports with control towers, so he is going to be pumping out 2 vessels at a time, and irradiate on this mass mutant army is going to be devastating unless Jim is good at splitting. Now unfortunately Jim is not Jaedong, so unable to control both groups independently at the same time, but not many people can do that. Oh, and irradiate, oh my god, the irradiate's doing so much damage. He needs to split better. Oh, taking a lot of damage on his Mutalist there. Luckily enough he split off a lot of the damaged ones earlier. But that's still a massive amount of damage. It's going to make it even harder to micro in and out with these units. But he needs to look to go towards Hive. And there's even Lings under these Overlords for some reason. I guess he kind of forgot about them. But you can see Marwyn is now going to be the one on the offensive. He's got a big Bio Ball. He has 3 vessels, 1 Irradiate left. And another one soon to be here. And these Mutalisks, I mean, Mutalisks against Irradiate is not something you want to deal with. Another couple of creep colonies coming in. But Marwyn cleverly pulling back and going to wait for more reinforcements. Okay, Marwyn is actually going to try and secure a 3rd base. This is a very clever move. Up to 6 barracks now. Could actually add on another couple more. Upgrading +2 attack. He's currently on 1-1. No double engineering bay, which I'd say is actually a little bit of a mistake if you're going to stick with bio. No physics lab just yet, so we're not going to see any BCs coming in. But BCs would actually be a really clever choice. Even going for some Valkyries against this mass mutable would be good. We've got +2 attack. Carapace only just now coming in. Marwyn scans the 3rd base, sees a good number of sunken, so isn't going to worry about pushing there yet. But you can see that Jim thinks that Marwyn is going over there. He doesn't have a clue where his army is right now. And that's going to make it very, very difficult. Jim needs to react. He's building another couple of creep colonies, but they're not going to be finished. Nice D-Matrix on this front Marine. Let's see what this engagement goes like. I'm genuinely not sure who is going to win this engagement. Nice Irradiate on the back Mutalist. The Mutalist doing so much splash damage. The Marines are doing so much. The Mutalist without Carapace all getting completely annihilated. And GG, Jim taps out. Marwyn takes game number 2. So that game is a very good example of why mass Mutalisks like that without any support of any kind is not the most common way to play ZVT. When the Marines get 2-1, even if you've got 2 attack, like, you need the Carapace upgrades, you need Lurkers really to deal with those mass Marine balls. Sorry, I'm losing my mind again. I had a long day of work, but we're going to be heading into game number 3. It's going to be Babo versus Grast on Neo Arkanoid when we get back after this break. See you guys very soon.
Outstanding. Rock and roll.
STPL does. Bio TVP. Wow! You got it. STPL does. Mass Scouts? No problem. Broadcast 3 nights a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 2100 CEST. Fantastic casting, fantastic production, fantastic prizes. Only here on the STPL. Did you know Reavers could be this radical? How did these lings even get here? All I know is that's one dead base. STPL does! Wraiths, Valkyries, Carriers, and Corsairs. Forget about it. You won't see that anywhere else. STPL does. STPL does. STPL does. STPL does. STPL does. DT's doing game-ending damage? Name a more iconic duo. We've even got carriers in PvZ. How amazing! A global team league on the scale you've never seen before. Don't see this in BWCL, STPL does. All that and more, only on this amazing 64-bit STPL. What BWCL don't. Impressed? I know I am. Why not support us on the link below? Patreon.com/Kick. Okay guys, welcome back to the STPL. My name is Kix. We are here for game number 3 of pSi versus iRk. This is our first series of today, so we've got another one coming up after this, which is going to be Red versus Rev. Now I am solo casting today, so I do apologize if it takes a little bit of a strain on my voice, but solo casting is something I don't necessarily enjoy doing too much, but luckily enough I have all you wonderful people in chat to keep me company, and the thought that Rapid is getting some well-deserved rest is more than enough to keep me happy. So let's get into game number 3. It's going to be between Grast and Babo. So having a look at Grast is actually the captain of pSi. Overall really cool guy. He's been helping a lot. Looks like the picture he sent in, I didn't notice this before, but he's standing in front of the Nexon Arena sign. And if you don't know the Nexon Arena, it's going to be where the next KSL is going to be broadcasted from. So that should be pretty cool. Grast has always come out for his team, always done a relatively good job. His win ratio isn't super high, but overall, he's been a really, really strong player for his team. And his opponent, going to be Babo. Babo hasn't really played in the STPL for a while. Well, he played... Yeah, so he played in the first week where he lost against Yeti. He did a really good job, but Yeti just to overcome him in the end and beat him. Obviously, Babo from Chile, if I remember correctly, and a really good player. It's likely we'll see him go mutas here though, as we are going to be going into Neo Arkanoid. Neo Arkanoid, one of the weirder maps we've got in Season 2. But should be fun nonetheless. Obviously you have 3 relatively easy to take bases. They're blocked by the Chrysalis, and there's a lot of neutral buildings all the way over the map. So it's going to be quite difficult. Well, I say it's quite difficult to go by ground early game to kill your opponent, but we found out with Essen versus Jim. Jim just went 2-hatch Bling and went and killed Essen. So let's see if greed is what we see, or if we're going to see some aggression here on Neo Arkanoid. Okay, starting us off here in the top left-hand position, we do have the green Protoss fighting for pSi even. It's their captain. It's Grast. And his opponent spawning down here in the absolutely wonderful magenta. It is fighting for iRk. It's Babo. So Babo historically is one of the best foreign 2v2 players. And his early game and his mid game is 100% the strongest part of his play against Protoss. Even his go-to strategy is Mutalisks, so it'll be interesting to see if he's going to go for that again. We can just see here the Chrysalis that both players will actually have to destroy to take their bases, but they're relatively easy to kill. Even if you just send a single unit over there, they die pretty quickly. But yeah, magenta is definitely one of the top colors now, TT1, I do agree. There is one of the tile sets where it doesn't look nearly as vivid as this, but like, I'm just gonna zoom in here. Look how beautiful this Overlord looks. That is one beautiful, beautiful Overlord with that magenta coloring. But luckily enough for Babo, he's gonna see where Grassed is. That's gonna be a major point of contention in this game, because scouting is going to be very difficult for Protoss. But the important thing is for, at least for Grassed, is he's going to know exactly where his opponent is. Now, Grassed is actually opting to build an off-center Nexus here, rather than killing the Chrysalis. It does give you access to the second Geyser a little bit quicker, so we could see possibly very, very fast tech here. Obviously, well, if you know you're going to be playing against Mutalisks, double Stargate wouldn't necessarily be a bad choice here, and it's actually going to be one base layer, so with one hatchery as well, one hatchery Mutalisks, like, they're not that strong, so as long as you can defend against it, which I think Grass is going to be able to, then he should be fine, but he does need to be wary. There is no Forge just yet, so there's not going to be any cannons, and the Cybernex Core, and importantly the Stargate, is very far away, whereas the layer is already halfway done. Now Core is on the way here, up in the front with the Forge. Usually I would say that this is not a good position, but because you do have these temples, just to show off the entire map, you have this set of temples, this set of power generators, this set of power generators, and this set of temples before any ground units to be able to get through. And when you know you're going to be up against Mutalisks anyway, it's better to build your buildings in a place where you can cover them all with cannons. So Grassed is already going to be taking some of these minerals over here. We should see a couple of pylons coming up in these locations. Now, there is actually going to be a hidden Stargate over here on the right, of course. Wow, this cannon is really far forward. I guess you can try and use that to defend. Oh, he used it to push his probe through. Oh, that was really clever. One thing, if you don't know how this works, guys, you can actually push yourself through buildings with by putting a building on top of your worker. And yeah, there we go. The second gas is up. Second Stargate is on the way, and +1 air attack should be coming up shortly as well. That's definitely the best thing you can go for. Lair is done. Spire is 3/4 of the way through, and we can finally see that Babo is starting to kill these Chrysalis, has killed the ones up here, and is going to be going up to 3 bases. Now, the one problem that Grassed may have is when you go for 2 Stargates like this, you don't really have anything that can actually attack the Zerg's ground. So you do need to kind of think about going into Reavers. Corsair Reaver is 100% the strongest build, I would say, on this map. Obviously Templar are going to be really good, but just because of how limited the ground movement actually is, and also you know pretty much guaranteed against Babo, you're going to be up against Mutalisks. Corsair Reaver should be the choice here for Grass. Now Grass going to be building his first 2 Corsairs. He does need to be a little bit careful. His pylon isn't done up here. He doesn't have any cannons in his mineral line. And here we go. The first 3 Mutalisks are actually on the way. There is going to be a 4th Mutalisk, but it's not going to be a massive deal, at least early on. And you can see the first Corsair is going to find these 3 Mutalisks. Going to fly back home. Can he actually get back? Babo's moving control is insane. How did he get that Corsair? And there's no cannon in the mineral line. This is going to be a ton of dead probes. The Corsairs, very low in count. Not going to be able to do too much. But obviously it is going to be difficult. But the moving shot from Babo is ridiculous. Like, the fact he got there for the first Corsair before it could fly away is massive, and another Corsair goes down. Looks like we could have the 6-minute curse activating this game. Babo is doing a ton of damage. The Zealots killing off the third Chrysalis, but losing your Corsairs like this is a massive problem because you need that Corsair count to grow. And look, there's no cannon here. There's nothing to keep this pylon alive. Without the pylon, you can't get any more Corsairs, so that's going to be your anti-air completely shot in the dark. But looks like the Mulus continuing to do more and more damage. No third base as of yet, but 3 Corsairs out now. Another Corsair about to go down. Great micro by Babo here, and Babo showing why his 2v2 is so good. His early game micro is ridiculous. His low economy play is some of the best in the foreign scene. It's just he doesn't often get a chance to show it off in the bigger tournaments, obviously, against bigger name players. He struggles a little bit, but STPL is really a great place to be able to showcase his ability. And looks like this base up here is going to go down. A single Dragoon came out to try and deal with it, but that's not going to be enough. GG. Grass taps out. Babo takes game number 3. Okay, so that game was fairly one-sided. Of course, Grass unfortunately tried to play a little bit too clever with his positioning of his buildings and didn't have cannons to defend against the Mulus in the right place at the right time. Babo finding the ultimate weak spot of the Protoss army, jumping on it immediately and taking game number 3. Now, of course, that does mean we do have iRk winning the series 3-0, but as every game does count, we'll be heading into game number 4. It's going to be Praise versus Favorite when we get back after this short break. See you guys very soon. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. Well, I was playing an EGM fight night, and it just so happens in round 1 I played up against Terra. I've always said that I have bad micro, but this was on another level. StarCraft released 20 years... Ah! Okay, I believe you guys have seen my suffering enough. Let's get into game number 4. We're actually going to be seeing 2 of the more commonly seen players for pSi and iRk here. Starting off with Praise. Praise is a Zerg player. He's not had the best of luck in terms of win rate, but he's been up against some really good players over the course of his STPL career. And for iRk, we're going to have one of their better Protoss players in Favorite. Favorite apparently doesn't have time to spam keys, so we'll have to see what his APM looks like. He is ranked 46 overall and has definitely had an amazing win rate, 60% win rate against some really, really strong players. Favorite actually had a relatively big break through Season 1. He played last properly in Oh wait, no, sorry. Well, he did have a massive break between June of 2018 and July of this year. But he's back for season 2. He played in week 1. He's up here in week 2 as well. And he's going to be playing over here on Carthage 3. We've had some incredibly cool CBPs on here. We've had 4 already. We do, of course, go through a lot of games in the STPL. And it'll be cool to see how Praise is going to do against someone the strongest favorite as we get into game number 4. pSi playing for pride here as Praise takes on favorite. Okay, now starting us off here in the top left-hand corner, we do have this isn't yellow, it's more like lime yellow. Player 4 pSi even, it's Praise. And they really shouldn't be using that as a pejorative. I am going to say something about that behind the scenes, as that is wrong, but down in the bottom right, we do have the dark grey Protoss. Oh, okay, well, Praise sorted out himself, no problem. In the dark grey, fighting for iRk, its favorite. Now, favorite obviously making use of the new colors, so is Praise. This isn't quite yellow, it's kind of like one of the off-yellow colors. And I know a lot of people have been a little bit controversial about black on the minimap, but genuinely, I find black a little bit easier to focus on, as well as the light, like this dark grey as well, than some of the default colors. So, kind of cool to see this dark grey, and of course, look how amazing it actually looks on the Nexus. It looks beautiful. And I think this color doesn't suit Zerg too much, because the drones especially, they all kind of link in together. Magenta is definitely a better Zerg color than this, but it's all good. Favorite did block the hatchery there, really nicely played. Gonna force Praise to take a little bit of a later hatchery. It is gonna be hatch first, which in the bottom meta is actually very dangerous, but Favorite is actually going for a 13 next here. So Nexus first, obviously not gonna be able to do anything to counter what Praise is doing and vice versa. The hatchery, or the spawning pool even, is coming up, and we're going to get into a little bit of a longer game here by the looks of it. At least we're not going to see any major rushes within the first few minutes. Is this air? Wait, what? Oh, does he not know about this? Oh, he's probably, yeah, he probably hasn't looked at the map properly. And yeah, Favorite with a very good point of his probe reached him, so. And even though this map is a little bit older, it's definitely one of the more standard maps in the pool, so if there's one map they shouldn't complain about playing on, it's 100% going to be Carthage 3. We're going to have a third hatchery coming up in the middle of the map. Interestingly, not going for that third gas base, but maybe he doesn't know what that is. Obviously, we are very early in STPL Season 2, and for some of the players, these are maps that they would have never seen before. So, this is where things actually divide in the STPL. So, obviously, in any tournament, you have the higher and lower ranked teams. But there is one thing that I can safely say about every single team that won their games last week, and as well as some of the lower, the teams that lost as well. There's teams that specifically practice the STPL maps, and they practice them a lot. So obviously the more you practice on the maps that you're going to be playing in, no matter what the tournament is, the better you're going to play. Now, necessarily, you don't need to play the game or the map more than once, you just even need to look at it. And if you've looked at it, you can sort of formulate strategies on what you're going to do. Obviously, the teams that practice more are going to do a lot better. But the Lings have blocked any additional probes coming in. Hydralisk Den coming up. And Praise could actually be going for a little bit of a fool situation here. I'm trying to think of the right word. A little bit of misguidance by kind of double guessing if it's an air map by going for a Hydralisk all in off the back of 3 base. So let's count the drones in the main. We do have 10. It's going to be 10 in the main, 8 in the natural, and possibly 3 in the third by the time the Hydralisk starts. So Hydrabusts can be very, very strong regardless of the map. They are in fact incredibly strong on this map just because of how far back the cannons actually have to be. This gateway is 100% going to go down. Now we do have that scout going in. Zealots are going to be going around the map here looking to get a few extra kills, but the Lings will do their best to try and block for these Hydralisks, because if he can keep the Hydralisks from going undetected, he could actually just win. But there is a lair, so it's going to be not a massive all-in. There is kind of like a tech backup off the back of this. Range is going to be on the way. Speed is not yet done, so he can't just suddenly push immediately, but the Hydras are definitely going to help him defend against these early Zealots, at the very least. Okay, so I mean there's a good number of Hydras coming out, but it is already 24 drones. That's a good number for this stage in the game. The first Corsair even not really going to be able to get in. He is going to have to kind of stay back and defend against this. Now, it is going to be an attack here from Praise, but he does have a good drone count behind this, and he does have a lair, so it's not 100% all in, but he is going to need to try and do something. So we do have Overlord speed coming in. There's no Overlord drop on either of his other hatcheries, so it's not going to be a big drop or anything, but speed should be on the way soon as well, unless... Are these speed Hydras? I always have trouble telling when units have speed or not. I don't look at them long enough. Okay, so this first Overlord is going to be incredibly important. If we do see DTs coming out here, it could be a problem. Now, there is the Templar Archives done. He does manage to save the Overlord for now, which is going to be a massive... a massively problematic thing, because DTs coming out here is going to do a lot. Now, the first Psi Templar's on the way. The cannons... I always struggle to understand, like, how does this make any sense? So these Hydras can hit it, these Hydras can hit it, a Hydra next to it was killed by the cannon. I do not understand how range works in this game, but here we go. We do have the first Psi Templar out. It's actually going to run into the Hydralisks. Praise has actually done a really good job of ensuring that his units don't get stuck on the temple, so I think he was actually faking out Favorite. But we do have the Spire going to be on the way. No, that's actually going to be another hatchery. Still no second gas. We do have speed almost finished up. But this, I mean, this is a lot of Hydras, but look how many cannons Favorite already has. He has 6 cannons already. There's going to be a Robo facility coming up as well. Storm is almost done. Another 3 additional gateways, taking him up to 6. Favorite's in a really good position, and if Praise tries to push in here, he is going to have a world of hurt. Now, 4th base is being denied. Looks like we are going to see Praise try and push forward. He does manage to take out 2 of the cannons for the Zealots out the front, eating a lot of this damage. And when Storm comes in, these Hydras out the front are going to be in a very, very vulnerable situation. It looks like Overlord speed is done, so these are going to be safe. We've got an additional 2 hatcheries coming in, an additional 3 hatcheries, so 6 hatcheries with only 1 gas. Oh, damn, sorry, I missed the sickest Storm. But yeah, the Hydras out the front have gone down, and yeah, he's going to have to fall back. Favorite has done what he needs to do. He's stayed alive. This extra cannon may be a little bit wasteful, but more Hydras are going to try and come down here. He's going to see... at the very least, if he could try and block. There's no lurker upgrade coming in though, so it's going to be difficult. Now, is speed done? Sorry, speed is done. Is drop done? No, it doesn't look like it is. Spire is on the way. But this Overlord... it feels to me like this Overlord is moving into a position to do a drop, but maybe he's just double checking that no shuttles are going to come out. Obviously the 6 gates of Favorite going to be kicking in. DTs are actually on the way as well. This is the moment in the game where Favorite is going to feel incredibly comfortable. We're going to see a double High Templar, double Dark Templar drop come in. And can he actually avoid the Overlords here? Because if the Overlords see this, it suddenly loses a lot of its power. But you can already see using the Corsair, scouting ahead. Oh, he doesn't miss it. Okay, that's really unfortunate. But the Hydra is going to move into position here to defend against the Corsair. Also going to be able to take down the drop when it comes in if he's not careful. But there is no Overlords in this location coming up to the main, so maybe he's going to misjudge where exactly the units are going to go. Still chasing this Corsair. This drop could do a lot of damage. I mean, the main isn't fully saturated, so it's not the biggest deal if the drones go down. But this is still going to be a massive drop. The Hydras are completely out of position. There's not actually that many of them either. And we've got a DT dropping in the main. There's no Overlord here. Oh no. Favorite's going to do so much damage here with 1 DT. Is Prey's even going to notice? It's so hard to see when this is happening, especially if you're focusing on something. I don't know if he missed the shuttle or thought it was the Corsair or something, but there we go, another storm going off. Damn, I keep missing all the important storms. But all of the drones dead at the 3rd base, all of the drones dead in the main. The DT on 9 kills here. And the shuttle's still alive with both High Templar. The Hydra's coming back to try and defend, but realistically, it's not going to help too much. Here we go. Let's see what this final storm is going to be like. There should be another one. Storm coming out. 6 kills, 3 kills. Not actually that many there. But we're down to 11 drones. 11. Oh no, the DT coming out as well. There's no Overlords. The Overlords have all been out on the map for so long, and there's absolutely nothing he can do. Praise is going to lose all of his drones. I mean, he has just hatched a ton of drones right now. But there's not much he can do. He's got a big army of Hydralists. They can't get into the main. If he had drop, maybe he could make something happen here. But he doesn't have drop, I don't think. He's not had the resources to research it. And he's not going to be able to break the front. There's so many Dragoons here now. So many Zealots. Interestingly, no Storm, though. I got to keep an eye on that minimap. There's actually a DT at the bottom of the main. So I need to make sure we have a look at when that goes in. But looks like we are going to have the Hydras pushing down from the high ground. Good positioning against the Dragoons. This is a huge amount of Hydralisks. So maybe despite having no workers, this all-in is going to have an effect, but he's going to be up against so many cannons, but the Zealots are nearly all dead. The Dragoons are in a really bad position to fight this Hydra Concave. The DT going to go in to the main mineral line once again. Let's keep an eye on his kills. But all the Hydras at the front are going to go down. The shuttle coming in to try and get a kill as well, but there's actually no additional drones up here. Praise is focusing entirely on his Hydras. They've done a lot of damage, but the DT once again killing all of the drones in the main. The drones in the natural all gone. It looks like we had another drop here. 9 kills. This is the greatest map. And yeah, it looks like Praise is going to lose here. Now, not to say what he's saying doesn't have precedence, but I don't know if I should be the first one to say that I don't think the map was the reason why Praise lost there. He tried to go for a Hydra all-in, it didn't work. He then got dropped by a shuttle that he scouted with his Overlord and wasn't prepared for. And I mean, he tried his best with his Hydralists at the end there, but it just wasn't enough. He'd taken way too much damage. He was behind in upgrades, he was behind in pretty much everything that there could have been. And obviously that led overall to his downfall in the game. And of course, in the series, as iRk take the series 4-0. Favorite doing a really good job there, defending against that Hydra all-in, doing so much damage with 1 drop as well. 2 DTs and 2 High Templar, the A team dropping into the main there. But let's have a quick look at the results. I believe that should officially show now? Yes, it does. So let's head on over, and then we'll take a quick break before we go into series number 2. But DeWalt taking out Mitak, Marwin taking out Jim, Babo taking out Grass, and Praise taking out Favorite. Fairly normal considering the Season 1 stats, but really, really sad to see pSi. Of course, they are 1-1, so all is not lost. They still have another 12 weeks after this game to make their way into that top 8 to make it to the playoffs. So every single game is going to be as vital important for both teams. As we get into our second series today, it's going to be Red versus Rev, and it's coming up after this break. See you guys very soon.